Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Oriire podcast, the podcast that tells African stories. I'm Halima.
And I'm Ceci, and today we're here with our guest Eden to talk about forced dating in ancient Ethiopia. And she has very interesting tales to tell us. So why don't you introduce yourself?
There's so much anticipation right now. But okay. First of all, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
There are not a lot of platforms, I guess. Yeah, there are not a lot of platforms who just, invite guests just based on interest, especially those which are African-based media. So yeah, it feels like home. Anyways, my name is Eden Maru. I am currently a student here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And that's basically it about myself.
What languages do you speak, Eden?
I speak two languages. Amharic, which is, a common language in Ethiopia, and also English. And I speak a little bit of French. Don't test me on that.
Yeah, how do you say hi in Amharic?
Okay, it differs based on the gender. If you're saying hi to a woman, you say "እንዴት ነሽ?"
Wow. Oh yeah, Halima, say it.
If you guys want to try it out.
Halima does.
Oh.
እንዴት
ነሽ.
Yeah.
Nesh. Okay. In this
You're basically a Habesha now.
Honestly, I am. I really am.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you need.
I know. Thank you so much. That means
And
a lot
if
to
it's
me.
for
A man,
if it's for a man, you say "እንዴት ነህ?"
Okay.
"እንዴት
So
ነህ?"
in this now.
There's a difference.
Well, thank you so much for teaching me this. I'm going to add Amharic to the list of languages I know how to speak. So yeah.
I don't know if you guys have a native language, Nigeria.
We have many.
Do.
We have multiple native languages in Nigeria. I think in the hundreds.
I think she's asking for personally or something.
So it would be hard for me to learn?
I mean, you would have to pick one and then start from there. But we can teach you. Well, I don't know, Halima, which language do you want to teach Eden? Or do you want to teach Eden to say hi in?
I think Yoruba is the best. Like, let's just stick to Yoruba for now.
Because it's the one you know.
So Yoruba is our native language. Well, I speak a lot of African languages, but Yoruba
when she says she speaks them, she means that language. She doesn't speak them. She only maybe she can say hi.
Anyway, what is hi in Yoruba?
I don't even know if we have hi. We have like a hello, like how are you doing?
What is hello?
It's like bawoni.
What is hello?
Like if you want to say how are you doing, you would say bawoni. Bawoni.
Bawoni.
Yeah.
Bawoni.
Bawoni. Yeah. So now you're Yoruba. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you give us a backstory or like a brief history of like forced marriages forced dating in Ethiopia?
So as it's March, so I think it's fitting to talk about women and their, rights in this month. But there are multiple programs already who talk about the leadership, the women in leadership and their contribution. So I think talking about this kind of is a different concept for me, and also it's something I've taken interest on, and I've learned about this from a friend. So shout out to her. It's about women's rights in the Gada system. I don't know if you guys heard about Gada system.
No, could you share a
little bit about that? Have you guys heard about Gada system?
No, I haven't.
Okay. The Gada system is, I think if you're Ethiopian, you know something about it. At least you've heard what it is. because it's also one of the intangible heritage which has been registered in UNESCO. So some people heard about it. Some people who are very interested in the African culture have heard about this. It's a system. It's basically a system. It's an indigenous democratic system which is built and which is also used in some parts of our country, which is basically the Oromo nation. And also, to my surprise, it's also used in the northern part of Kenya and also some southern part of Ethiopia. So the thing that makes Gada system unique is that there are many, even if it's like a cultural system, even if it's it's kind of old, it's kind of traditional. So despite its traditional connotation, it has a democratic system built into it. It also has an election system. It has its own adoption system, and it also gives a big significance to women's rights and their participation in the societal hierarchy. So this is not my main topic. The Gada system is not my main topic, but it's part of the Gada system. So I have to explain briefly. That's why. But if people want to know more about the Gada system, I think they should search about it and they would know more because there are many resources on it. So the thing I wanted to talk about is something called Sikke. If I pronounce it wrong, I'm so sorry, but it's called Sikke, and it's a stick. It's a special stick, given for women. And it has its own significance. It has its own religious connotations to it. So it's kind of a symbol of, fertility and prosperity and things of the like. But it's given to a woman on her wedding day. On some parts of the Oromia region, it's given for a woman on her wedding day by her mother. So this woman takes the Sikke and she puts it in a room, essentially, which is called the female bedroom. So a man can't enter that female bedroom. So if he attempts to, abuse her in any kind of way or try to, cause any damage, she will run to that room and he cannot enter that room. And if a man beats a woman holding a Sikke, it's basically assumed as beating God, because it has this religious aspect to it. And it's also like disrespecting his mother-in-law because she's the one who gave it to her. This is one of the things. So I think it's very interesting because protecting anyone in their own household for me is very difficult. It's also where the modern system kind of fails women in a lot of aspects. So this traditional system, and again, I say this very, cautiously, but this traditional system kind of protecting women in their own household, trying to create this safe space for them in their own household I think is very, admirable for me. Also, a woman holding a Sikke has a higher significance. Her presence is kind of needed when there's any kind of rituals or any religious prayers are performed for rain, or when name is given for a child. These are the multiple usage of a woman holding a Sikke. So I think these are one of the things. And if a guy attacks a woman, or her husband attacks a woman holding a Sikke, she will go out and call out the women folks in her village, and they will hold this kind of a crying song ritual, which is which creates noise pollution essentially. So it's gonna like pressure the elderly. It's gonna pressure also the leaders of the clans. So they're gonna try to resolve this in a peaceful manner. Otherwise, if the guy is the guy should be held responsible. So he's gonna apologize not only to her but to her friends as well. They're going this extra mile, so I appreciate that. Now, the thing I want the forced marriage thing is in some parts of the region, the CK is given for a woman when she reaches her puberty stage. When she reaches her puberty stage, the mother gives her daughter the CK. So if there's a guy she's interested in, she's gonna go out and put the CK either in his house or on his gate or in his yard, which is she's gonna create a sound. I don't know if you guys know Elilta. Do you know what Elilta is? You don't know what Elilta is? It's basically creating a sound. It's creating a sound using like your tongue, like this kind of sound.
Yeah.
You know that, right? You know that, right?
Yes.
So it's used for different purposes, like when you are happy, for blessing, you use it for different purposes. But in this specific manner, she would go there, she would put the CK, and she would create this sound. And it's basically pressuring the guy to date her. Or it will also pressure the guy into like almost engagement with her, because she's interested in him or because she likes him. And I don't know how like girls
where
feel.
can I get this?
Yeah, I was saying that. I was gonna say this. Girls, go out, get your CK, and stop using Instagram, and go back to your traditional ways.
So I really like this. The idea of it.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting that you're giving the girls the agency
oppressing
to
men
choose who they like. But then at the same time, it's like, because that seems like a little bit of undue pressure. What happens if they refuse? Will they be seen as like the cruel?
No, there's no punishment. There's no punishment, but there's there's a high amount of pressure. There will be a high amount of pressure from everybody in the society. And it's kind of hard to say no to the elders, when it is a traditional system. So, I think it's just creating that pressure and that tension.
Well,
that would get her the man.
Women generally have to face a lot of pressure in a lot of African cultures, so I can kind of understand the role reversal.
Yeah.
So I see the good and bad points there. I see it's good because it gives the women agency, but it's kind of bad because of the pressure. If a guy, I wouldn't want anybody I actually care about to get married to a guy who married them because they were pressured to, because I don't think that's going to be a very happy marriage.
I think, doesn't it show a little bit of bravery from the woman?
It absolutely does.
Just going out and just pursuing this person. She's actively pursuing this person, and it's not only just putting this stick. She's also creating this sound, and it's basically shouting to the people, "Oh, I like this guy." Everybody should know this.
I think it's
shouting
great.
part is a bit extreme.
Yeah,
I like the part about this stick and how making the first move. I really like that. So.
I think it's great, but I think it's scary because it's a little bit more than just the first move. It's like, hey, look, I want you to marry me, and you're telling everyone. It's like you're standing, in those movies where they make the big confession in front of everyone, and they're like, hey, will you date me or what?
Yeah.
Imagine getting rejected on such a large scale. How would you ever recover?
But that's the thing. She kind of there's a minimum chance of her getting rejected.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, he cannot reject her. He cannot just go out and say no, take your CK and just go away. He cannot say that. There's a certain respect that comes with the CK. That's why the people kind of create this pressure for him to date her, at least. I don't think people like this.
Is that something that is done anywhere in Ethiopia today? Like, is that something you've heard about done recently, or is it
No,
like
this is
new?
this was told uh, as I said before. I think I learned about this recently. It was from a friend, and she told me about this story, and I was very intrigued by it. It was very interesting for me because, again, as you said, it's kind of this role reversal. We haven't experienced it before, and when as I said before, like when it's tradition, when it's culture, it's usually very derogatory, for women, and it's usually very harmful. Traditions are usually practiced on women, so it's not something you hear every day.
Oh, that's really cool. So I hear there's also like the reverse where like men could pressure women in quotes into marrying them in ancient
Yeah,
Ethiopia. Could you tell us a little
yeah,
bit about that?
that's mainly practiced in the northern part of Ethiopia,
Oh,
but it's common almost everywhere. Or it's common almost everywhere, and that is not the same as CK. CK is, I think, it's somehow respectful. I think
mm-hmm.
When it's approached from the guy's perspective, it's um, kidnapping. It's basically kidnapping.
Oh,
They It's bride kidnapping, and they kidnap her, and you know they make her stay for a while, and there's, as I said before, there's physical altercations involved, and she's kind of forced into the marriage, and there's no say in it. It's basically there is no say in it. They will not return the daughter to her families until they say yes. So it's kind of forced. It was on her and her family. So I don't think it's the same thing.
It doesn't sound like the same thing at all.
It doesn't. It's not the same thing.
Okay, really cool.
But I think that has minimized. It's almost gone. I think
I would hope
now
so.
it's still practiced. Yeah, it's still practiced in some parts. In some parts, but
Why do you think this practice was prevalent in some part of Ethiopia? Why do you think it was so like common? Why do you think it
so
became
why
something
do I
that's
think it
practiced?
was practiced on some areas?
Yeah.
I think it's because of the Gada system. The Gada system was practiced in certain regions, and the Sikh system was part of that Gada system. So it was not practiced everywhere. People did not conform to that system. So people or the countries, no, not countries, cities that has not conformed to that system do not use the Sikh system. So it's kind of part of the Gada system. That's why it was prevalent in some regions and it was not in some parts. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. And I liked the idea of the Gada system. I've just been doing a little reading up on it, and it's very good to see because I always, whenever they talk about Africa pre like colonialism, pre the what's the word? Pre the invasion. Let's put it that way. Whenever they talk about Africa pre the invasion, people kind of overlook that the societies there already had their own different systems of governance. They had their own rules, they had their own laws, they had how they did, they had their own way of life and how they did their own things. And I really think that the Gada system is a very robust system of governance because it had all these things. It had the checks and balances, and it seemed to be a very a system that kind of promoted equality a bit, which was very good and rather rare, I guess. So yeah, I really like the idea of the Gada system. I think the Gada system. How do I pronounce it? I feel like next time you should come and we should just talk about the Gada system because.
And I think it's also important to add that Ethiopia is practically besides Liberia, the only African country that was never colonized. So that could explain why like they have such strong like systems that still hold to date, or like why they had strong ancient system that lasted a very long time.
Oh, but the Gada system is not currently in place, is it? Or is it in some places?
It's currently in place in some parts, It's practiced It's practiced in some places. Yeah, it's practiced in some places. But now because we have this, modern system, the modern democratic system, it was needed at that time.
Makes sense.
Because there was no justice, I guess.
So is there anything you'd like to add about like the CK system or this like marriage process in general before we round up?
Yeah. Not really a message or a thought. I think generally it's the concept as very progressive as it is. I think aesthetic having more significance than a person was kind of funny to me. We should respect the person as they are. We don't need any rules, regulations, or CK or stick in general to respect a person for who they are. So yeah, I think that's the basic lesson we should learn. Maybe not depend on a stick to have a right as a person.
I agree. That's a very good point. I mean, while we say the Gada system was, kind of promoting more equality, at the same time, it shouldn't be necessary for people to, have to do something so drastic to be listened to.
Yeah, to carry a stick around.
Okay.
I would like to, join you guys on another conversation.
Yes.
Whenever you are free.
We definitely should. Carla, please take note. We should do another episode because we do want to have
Again,
more.
thank you guys for having me.
We're so happy to have had you.
This was a very interesting conversation. Yes. I really enjoyed it, so that was nice. Oh, before we go, do you have like any social media platforms or handles you'd like to promote or share with us?
If people want to follow me, I don't have anything posted yet, but I will. So my Instagram @Fandisha. I don't know. It would be hard to pronounce again.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fandisha.
Okay.
Do I have to spell?
Yeah, I think maybe you should spell for the listeners because they may not.
Because even I'm thinking about.
Okay. Yeah. It's Amharic, so that's why. FENDSHIA. Fandisha.
Okay, great. So go ahead and follow
it means popcorn, by the way. It's an Amharic word for popcorn.
I like that. So follow popcorn on social media, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and tell your friends. To stay updated, you can also follow us on social media. On Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, we are Oriire_Africa. On TikTok, we are Oriire Africa. And on YouTube, we are Oriire. Oriire is spelled ORIIRE.
You can also find us on our website, which is oriire.com, where we have articles about African mythology, history, and food. Contact us via our website or social media if you'd like to come on the podcast. We'd definitely love to have you. If you want to support us, you can do so by subscribing to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/OriireAfrica. And all of this will be listed in our description box below. Thank you.
Thank you.